So today I actually want to talk about something I saw in the Republic of Ireland. I was watching a news panel discussing immigration numbers, and one of the politicians on that panel said something so crazy I actually had to stop and replay it. It was one of those moments that perfectly captures how disconnected many political figures have become from the realities that ordinary people face. Before I say anything else, here's what he said.
I'm sure you've answered the question. Do you agree with Simon Harris that the numbers are too high?
I think it's not about the number being too high. It's about, are you in a position to process those that show up? Just because a number breaches a certain thing and puts pressure on the state, saying whether it's too high or too low is irrelevant. It's about understanding how we have a functioning system. I don't know. I don't know.
So it's not about the number being too high. It's about being able to process those that show up. Saying whether the numbers are too high or too low is irrelevant. Well, maybe it's irrelevant to him, but it's not irrelevant for a lot of people across Ireland who can see the impact of those numbers in their own communities. And here is something I genuinely don't understand. Why is it that only when we talk about mass immigration do numbers suddenly stop mattering? In every other sphere of life, the idea of limits is basic common sense. A school cannot enroll unlimited pupils. A hospital ward cannot fit endless beds. If a bus is full, nobody argues that insisting on a limit is cruel or unfair. But once the conversation shifts to borders and migration, that simple logic vanishes. Suddenly, we are told that acknowledging limits is heartless, or raising concerns means that you lack compassion. We hear that what actually matters is, moral duty. Let me just say this. The truth is, people are switching off from this message of morality. Firstly, because morality is not some fixed universal thing that everyone agrees on anyway. And second, because if we are going to talk about moral duty, then let's talk about all of it. Not only the parts that make politicians sound virtuous on television. Ireland has deep, long-standing issues affecting its own citizens. So let's ask the real question. What is the more urgent moral priority? Bringing in high numbers of people who claim to be in need, or dealing with the more than 5,000 Irish children now officially recorded as homeless? This is not some abstract statistic. This is 5,000 children, real lives, real families. What is more urgent? Expanding accommodation for new arrivals, or confronting the fact that some Irish citizens are sleeping in their cars because they cannot find anywhere else to go? There are people literally getting dressed for work in the morning in supermarket car parks because that is all they have. What is more urgent? Meeting international expectations, or meeting the needs of older adults across Ireland who wait for months for basic medical appointments? Some wait so long that their conditions worsen before they can even see a doctor. So what is more urgent, we should ask these politicians? Building new services for those newly arriving, or fixing the hospitals where ordinary Irish people lie on trolleys on corridors because the system has no capacity left? Anyone who has ever had to sit in an overcrowded emergency department knows exactly how serious this is. At some point, leaders need to stop hiding behind lofty language about compassion and start dealing with practical realities. Ireland's situation is actually quite urgent. Migration is not a problem in principle. It's a normal feature of human life. Societies can and do welcome newcomers, but avoiding friction and disruption depends on scale and speed, and on whether leaders are willing to speak honestly about those limits. The problem in Ireland is not just the volume of arrivals, it is the political and cultural elite that keeps insisting that the numbers just don't matter, not relevant. The public should simply just accept what's happening without question. Morality. Ireland and much of the Western world deserves leadership that treats the public with respect. Leadership that is willing to acknowledge reality. Until that happens, the gap between what politicians say and what people actually experience will grow wider. This is why trust is breaking down. People are tired of being told that the evidence right in front of them is irrelevant. They are tired of leaders who seem more committed to protecting ideologies than protecting the stability of their own country. At some point, the political class needs to hear what the public is actually saying, not what they think or wish the public believes, not what fits their own narrative, but the real message coming from real people who are living with the real consequences of decisions that they they never agreed to. People are not asking for the impossible. They want borders managed. They want honesty. They want limits that match the capacity of their services. They want their own citizens prioritizing their own country. These are basic expectations, yet somehow they're treated as radical. So if politicians in Ireland and the UK want to avoid a complete collapse in public confidence, they need to wake up. Not next year, not after the next report, not after the next election, now, because both countries are changing at a pace people didn't sign up for, and the public is running out of patience with leaders who keep gaslighting them rather than admitting that the situation is out of control. Let me know your thoughts. If you like this video, please subscribe and also support the channel in any way you can, because it helps it to grow and become better than it is right now. See you soon.